Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Logan, and today we're going to be taking a look at something just a little bit different. This right here is a Frankenstein NAS that I built myself using a chassis off of eBay, a bunch of old hard drives I had lying around, and most importantly, the Radxa Rock 5 ITX, a very nice ARM-based mini ITX motherboard that's powered by the Rockchip RK3588, which was sent to us for review by Radxa. And the Rock 5 ITX is a very unique product. It's probably one of the easiest ways to drop a very capable ARM processor into any existing PC right now, and along with it you'll get tons of I/O like dual M.2 slots, 4 SATA ports, plenty of USB 3, and dual 2.5 gigabit Ethernet links, just to name a few. Throw in up to 32 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM on board with the latest model, and you have something that will absolutely blow away a Raspberry Pi as far as connectivity and ease of use are concerned. So that's why in this video I want to take a look at the Rock 5 ITX in the context of running a comprehensive home server, doing all the same stuff that I would normally entrust a regular desktop PC or NAS to, and see how it fares in terms of performance, power consumption, and overall ease of use. You can see here, Radxa also sent over this little heatsink to use on the board, and funnily enough, this is just a standard Intel cooler mounting pattern. So any LGA 1150 series cooler should bolt in perfectly fine, but you don't need much cooling since honestly this is a very low power draw CPU, and that's something that I'm going to get into more in just a little bit. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to be installing this motherboard inside of a standard NAS chassis that I actually got used off of eBay. This was originally called a Dado NAS, who seemed to be a company that provided a lot of enterprise NAS solutions, and as it turns out, you can still find a lot of these storage appliances online fairly cheaply. Mine originally came with a 4th generation Intel processor, which is just a bit too inefficient to really be useful nowadays, so this Radxa board will really be a nice upgrade. And what's also really convenient here is that while you can just use a regular DC barrel connector power adapter to run this board, they actually give us a regular ATX 24-pin connector for use with a regular power supply like the one inside this chassis, which makes it really convenient to run the board and some hard drives together, unlike a Raspberry Pi where you might have to get a bunch of power adapters to run each piece of hardware separately. And in the end, it really didn't take very long at all to get this board installed in the Dado enclosure so I could start testing. And once I turned on the system, I was taken to a software called Ruby, which I'm assuming means Radxa Out-of-Box Installer, because this is actually the first menu that you'll see whenever you take the board out of the box and boot it up for the first time without any valid boot media installed. And Ruby lives in a small ROM chip soldered to the motherboard, which almost acts like a UEFI setup menu. So you can boot into this interface at any time, and it allows you to connect to the internet and flash a few different Rock 5 ITX compatible boot images onto whatever bootable storage medium you have connected to the motherboard. And since I installed a 128GB NVMe SSD in here, I decided to install the official Debian KDE image just to start experimenting, and getting that set up was as easy as connecting an Ethernet cable, clicking through the menus, selecting my drive, and confirming the install. And for regular desktop usage, the Rock 5 ITX proved itself to be a really capable little board, especially thanks to the built-in Mali G610 GPU, which actually provides up to Vulkan 1.2 support, but it's still no gaming PC, and you should keep your expectations within the realm of what a single board computer can actually do. Ultimately, I ended up wiping this installation of Debian and just installed a copy of Armbian Noble, which is a more recent third-party distro aimed at building a solid foundational ecosystem for these single board computers. And that actually pulls packages from Ubuntu's ARM64 port repos, meaning that you'll be getting great software support. And it doesn't ship with a desktop environment, which is more ideal for the kind of server setup that we want to be running on this NAS. And for a NAS, there are a lot of different pieces of software that I regularly recommend for turning a standard Linux installation into an OS that you can access over the network, like Casa OS for example. But today I wanted to keep things simple and explore another option that might be more suitable for general home lab use, which is called Cockpit, and you can install it using a single command in the Debian terminal. This gives you a web UI very similar to Casa OS that you can use to manage your server, but it focuses more on the system integration aspect, meaning that you can do things like manage system updates and access a full terminal all within the web browser. Now, as far as performance, there are some considerations to make here. In synthetic benchmarks, specifically the aggregate results from Passmark performance test, we're getting single core performance just below about 1,000 points, which is rivaling some 19-year-old desktop CPUs, but that's not really the point. The point is we managed to get there while hardly even breaking 40 degrees Celsius under full synthetic load, which is very, very impressive. And don't get me wrong, this still pulls well ahead of Raspberry Pi 5. And our multi-core score of 3119 also paints a better picture. While that's only about 58% of the typical Intel N100 benchmark, that's with a maximum recorded system power draw of 29 watts, with all 4 hard drives running, and only 11 watts at idle, so this thing definitely takes the cake when it comes to power efficiency in a real NAS situation. Not to mention, according to some past tests I've done with other kinds of PC hardware for server use, this absolutely blows away pretty much every older x86 architecture CPU around. Chances are, if power is even moderately expensive wherever you live, you'll be saving money with this kind of a board. And CPU performance isn't the end all and be all of these devices. One of the really big draws to this platform is the hardware accelerated video encoder built into that Mali G610 CPU, which you can actually leverage in Jellyfin, and I'll link a guide in the description that details exactly how you can go about doing that with Rockchip based SBCs. So the question really comes down to whether or not the ridiculous power efficiency and easy integration of a mini ITX platform are all that necessary in your particular use case. I think that this is a really great product, and it really did offer all the benefits of a capable ARM NAS without the limitations of other solutions, which usually hide away a lot of functionality, like being able to access the command line or flash your own OS image. But of course, the elephant in the room here is the cost of this motherboard. And right now you can buy the Rock 5 ITX off of places like AliExpress for $289 in the configuration we reviewed it in, using 16 gigabytes of LPDDR5 memory. Now that goes all the way down to $180 US if you're willing to settle with the 4 gigabyte memory variant, but that doesn't change the fact that this is a little pricey for a bare motherboard. So I think that's just about it for this video. Please let me know down in the comments section below if the Radxa Rock 5 ITX is a board that you could realistically see yourself using for your own NAS or home lab, and if so, let me know what you would actually get it doing in your setup, because I think it's a really versatile device with a lot of potential. Please let us know if you have any other questions or comments down in the comment section below. If you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss any of our future content, and as always, have an awesome day.